Hi there, I'm April Page, breaking down the what, when, where, and how creatives get their inspiration. I'm a big fan of the cursey words, and I've been a creative for 30 plus years in marketing and fine art. This is where creatives unite to break down the facts of creative life. Buckle up, let's get lost in the world of creativity together.
Welcome, everyone, to Artists Antics with April, where we talk to creatives about creativity. And today I am very excited to sit down to talk with Monica Vidal, a happiness health connection coach. And welcome, Monica. I am so honored to speak with you today.
Hello, April. Thank you so much for having me here. I'm very happy. I love to talk about what I do. So let's
Yes.
get started.
Yeah, I'm really excited about this one. So, um, you're a passionate advocate for mental wellness and personal growth advocate. And you're originally from Sao Paulo, but you're now based in the U.S. and can help anybody from anywhere. And your background is developing and facilitating expressive group workshops. Is that correct?
Yes.
And you're pursuing an MA in happiness studies, which I want to get into, and committed to understanding and addressing the societal pressures that shape our perceptions of happiness. So, without further ado, I want to delve in. So, how did you become my first question? And I have many. How did you become a professional in happiness studies? I know John George was a big influence for you, and I just wanted to hear, like, how does one go in this direction? Like, what was the catalyst or the spark for that?
Okay. So I studied psychology in Brazil a while ago, let's say. And I moved here 10 years ago, about 10 years ago. And when you move to a different country, you kind of have to start from zero. And I had to think about how I would use all the knowledge I got in all these years. I worked with groups mainly in business settings in Brazil. So I have a lot of experience in groups and managing groups, leading groups to whatever I wanted them to reach.
Yeah.
And when I moved here, I took a break for a little while. I was, getting to know people, getting to know the area, getting to know the possibilities here, and also raising my son. And I'm in an area that I have a lot of older friends, and I started losing some friends, and a lot of friends lost their loved ones. And I saw their struggle to get support for grief. They were going to meeting after meeting, changing groups, and they all said, "Oh, I feel stuck. In the beginning, it helped me a lot, but now I feel stuck, and I feel the need for something different."
Mm.
And I saw there an opportunity to help. I love to help people. I'm a people person, and I was missing so much work with people. So I started to do some research on what was that they needed and they were not finding. And I joined all my knowledge about people, about groups, about, pain and also I am a neuro-linguistic programmer. I did my course in Brazil, my master in neuro-linguistic programming in Brazil. And I just joined all my techniques with my passion for art.
Oh, that's amazing.
And I developed a 6-week workshop for grief. Each day of the workshop deals with one specific aspect of grief.
I gotcha. So, is it only strictly now a grief workshop, or is it now like a happiness thriving
That was
workshop?
the beginning. That was the
Okay,
beginning.
I got
Yes.
you. Yeah.
And then a lot of people who came say, "Oh, I want to do more. I want to do something different." Or people would call me and say, I'm not grieving anything, but can I still go? Just because people were telling other people that they loved and how much it helped and how much it was transformational. So everybody wanted to come. So then I opened, nowadays, I love to work with nonprofits, and I love to be a partner to a nonprofit because then I can help in different areas. I'm currently an artist ambassador at the Atlantic Center for the Arts in New Smyrna Beach. And I go to the VA, I go to some schools in our public school system. I still work with grief. And I started expanding and creating new exercises using this technique. I usually sit with the group or study a little bit about the group and what is it that the group needs. So all the exercises are custom made for that group.
That's great. So you touched on it a little bit, but what are, without giving away your process, what are the kind of the big things that you do within the coaching for that group?
What happened is in the beginning, I had all the ideas and I knew what I wanted to do, but I wasn't sure how to actually make it happen. And at the Atlantic Center for the Arts, they have a workshop. It's a weekend workshop that teaches exactly that. So that's where actually it started to really work. I went there on this weekend workshop. It's called the Academy. And it's an incredible group of people. So other people who do similar work come and teach the way they do it. So you have different artists showing how they do it. So you learn different ways to do it. And the end of the course, we present a project. How would I do it with everything I learned this weekend? And they liked my project, and that's how it all started. That was the grief project.
Okay.
And the idea is, a lot of people have a hard time talking about issues, emotional issues. They have a hard time finding the words, or they feel judged. It's really hard. And using art, using the hands mainly, you are still expressing, but with no need to find the words. We do use words in the end, but then they are reading, let's say, the work they did. And just, it's kind of you put your emotions in a physical place, work with them, and put them back transformed.
Yeah, no, it's great that you say that, because part of my art process as a fine artist, um, I do that. I try right now, and I'm trying to find a new style. I'm honing in on a new style, but right now I'm trying to put my energy onto a painting, and get that across. It's very hard to get that across, but I think I'd love to hear what you have to say about, are people able to get those feelings across even though they're not artists? How does that feel and look, and what have you seen there? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we see the people who come to the Academy, because now I am a part of the artists who teach the others how to do it. And we have people in the health industry that want to use art, or they already do art as for them as a relaxing moment, and we have the opposite. We have artists who would like to use their art for wellness. So we have both sides coming to figure how to put them together.
Yeah.
So it's very, very rich, because we have all these very different experiences, and we find a way, a point where they converge. It's beautiful.
Yeah, no, that's great. And the people participating, do they have a hard time expressing themselves on through art?
No, because I usually don't tell them what they're doing.
So they can't get nervous about it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. So that's the key. If you're an artist, like you said, and you want to learn how to use that for wellness, I think the main point is to use your rational brain the least possible.
Yeah.
So if I in the beginning explain, oh, we're going to do this and this and this because we want to reach that and that and that, you're using your rational brain. So
Right.
that's not going to work.
Right.
So we start doing, oh, let's do this. Let's put colors on paper. And very abstract. Abstract, good. You're not thinking. Get colors quick. And,
Yeah.
it has to be, you have to let that come from your heart, let's say.
Yeah.
Not from thinking, oh, I don't know. I'm not an artist. People are going to judge my work. Are going to say this is not right. My house is not perfect. We can't let that kick in. So everything has to be kind of fast.
Yeah. It's almost like journaling in a way. I,
It is. Journaling is a wonderful way to do it. Yes.
yeah.
And I like, so in the beginning, a lot of the exercises, I always tell them, we are not going to read what you wrote, or we are not going to show if you don't want to. And it's interesting because a lot of people feel comfortable with that, but they want to show it in the end.
Yeah.
They,
Right.
they can if they want. But in the
Right.
beginning, I always give them that freedom to say, hey, you can do whatever you want. Nobody's going to judge it. And we do create, that's one of the beautiful things of the group. We create a, a zone of, trust,
Yes.
where they all know they can put anything out and they can draw any way they want. And nobody is there to judge because everybody's in the same boat. Everybody's
Right.
a little insecure in the beginning. And then in the end of the 6 weeks, it's a lot of them become friends. It's so great.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. So, given what you've done so far and the groups that you've taught, what do you think happiness consists of? What is it that we're all striving for? And, part of me wants to say, I think it's an ongoing relationship with your own mind. But the other part of me wants to say, it has to do with some external things as well. So I'd love to hear
Yes.
what
So
you think.
it all started, what year was that? And I think it was 21, 20 or 21. I did a presentation. We have a local talk event, similar to the big one,
Yeah.
but it's a local one. And I was attending the Toastmasters
Yep.
local group. So and that was through a work I was at the time. And I started learning more and more about public speaking, which is something I always loved. Working with groups, I had a little bit of that, but I wanted to be more comfortable with big groups.
Yep.
So the Toastmaster experience was incredible, and I was feeling more confident, and I my writing was better. And I saw somewhere online, I saw that this local talk event was looking for people for the next one. So they were open for auditions. And I was like, oh yes, this is my opportunity to really see if I am where I think I am.
Yeah.
So I applied and I had my audition. And actually, the funny part is the audition to me was the challenge. Just being, and it was right when things started to be on Zoom. So the audition was on Zoom.
Yep.
And when I finished, I had a feedback. The feedback was good, and I was so happy. So I did it. Yes, it was wonderful, and I forgot about it. And then one day I get an email saying you were approved. You're in the next event, and I was panicking. Oh my God, I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
And I did, and I loved the experience. And the title of my speech was "Are we happy yet?"
Yep. I watched that. Yeah, it was great. You did a great job.
So I thank you. And because it's something that always puzzled me. Why is it that we struggle so much with happiness? What gets on the way? You know, how can I working with wellness help? And beginning of this year, I think I saw that there was a master's in the study of happiness, and I was super excited. I said, "Oh my God, this course was made for me. I want to learn more." So
Yeah.
I started. I am kind of halfway through, and I absolutely love it. And it tells so much about we study, why we are happy, why we are not happy. Why is it that people have been studying this for ages,
Yeah.
ages?
Yeah.
Like the big thinkers, many, many, many thousands of years ago, already knew it.
Yeah.
They already talked about it. Why is it that we're not there yet?
Yeah.
I'm still studying that. I
Yeah.
think we have a lot of things that are so much in our routine, in our way of thinking that is hard to break, even if it's for a better thing, if it's for a better way of living,
Yeah.
it's just different. And humans have a hard time with different.
Yeah. Yeah. And, it brings me to the thought of how I'm discovering just through my own, you know, research and spiritual path that we are programmed by society, by media, by government, school, family, friends, what have you, right? And how do we how do we get rid of that programming, or maybe take it, recognize it, but not take it in, and allow ourselves the freedom to be happy in whatever way that means for us. So my happy is
Yeah,
not going to be the same as your happy, or the next person,
absolutely. Yes.
or the other person after that. So I'm finally learning that I can uh, control the schedule of my life, which is, you know, not a enlightening thought, but for me it is, because I've been driven by so many things that I'm programmed to say I have to or I should, right? So um I'm rejigging my life to uh make it what I want it to be, that makes me happy, and part of that is this
Hmm.
channel, so thank you for joining me. but
Yes. Yes.
it's
I think what you said is
me.
very important, the freedom.
Yes,
Yes.
and I'd love to hear from you, like how, because I've had these conversations with some people that aren't necessarily ready to have them, and that's not, neither here nor there. It just is. How do you get or plant the seed with somebody who's seeking or questioning um, their perception, or questioning the programming that they're now realizing is potentially happening to them? How do you get them to further seek? Like, what is it that you tell them about, what is being programmed, or how they can help themselves break out of that thinking? Yeah.
I think being ready for it is a very big thing. So the person really has to be willing to do it. You
Mm.
can go, because sometimes it's like, oh, my wife said I have to come do this, or my friends that I have to come do this.
Yeah.
And that hardly ever works. You really have to be willing to do it because it requires work. It's not a magical thing. And it's, oh, I'm going to just think positive and everything's going to change.
Yeah.
I wish it were that easy,
Yes.
but it's not. So it's a trip to getting to know yourself better.
I agree with that.
I think that pretty much sums it all because we are so bombarded by you have to be this, you have to be that, you have to think this, you have to, you even when you're growing up, well, now you have to be reading, you have to be writing, you have to be socializing, you have to have a significant other, you have to get married, you have to have kids. There's always so much that we're bombarded it with all our lives that we don't really know what it is that we like and that
Yeah,
we want.
that's
So
right.
I think that is a very big key to this. So everything else are techniques that we can use to get to know ourselves better and to
Yeah,
get to know what makes us happy.
yeah, and I think following what I call the string of joy in your life um, will help you figure that out. So maybe, like I've been told all my life that art is never going to be a full-time job, So, which we know there are many artists that are flourishing out there. But
Mm-hmm.
so I am taking heed of that and following my joy and building my art business up again and creating this channel and I I think that following joy is the key because whatever it is you love, even if you're not making, a serious amount of money at it in the beginning, because you love it, it will take you somewhere, I think, that maybe you didn't even know you were going,
Yeah.
like you had no idea this is the way the path was going to go. And had you told me I would be a senior marketer and a national speaker and trainer, and I just would have thought you were crazy a long time ago and thought, no, that's not my path, So it's interesting, where life takes us and why, the comfort of having certain things over, freedom and happiness. um, so I guess I just wanted to get your thoughts about how important is play in all of this. So adult play. So what I mean by that is, maybe I love photography and I might, go and be in a group or, play around with ideas I have about what I want to capture or what my subject's going to be. Um, and even if you can't, you know, totally change your life in an instant, at least it will get you moving on that path. So I guess, talking about joy and play, how important do you think that is for adults in finding this happiness?
It's interesting that you asked me that because I am a very curious person. So I love to learn how to do things, especially if it's things with my hand. I love to learn how to do different things. And I love craft.
Yeah.
And I tried for a while to work with crafts, sewing, embroidering, and I was struggling emotionally and struggling as the business. And one day I stopped and meditated on it, and I realized that was a passion as a hobby.
Mm.
And I was trying to figure what is a passion as work. And it's interesting. I would love to ask you one question.
Sure.
Did you, when you were a kid, did you play with your friends like and that you have a profession? What did you ever do that? Because when I remember what I did, like, oh, let's play that we are
Yeah.
any kind of profession.
Yes.
Did you ever
I
do that?
I did. I played a teacher with my stuffed animals. And,
Exactly, me too.
I also thought I wanted to be an archaeologist or a lawyer. So I
But
I had a lot of dreams when I was younger.
but
But
I love you see the curiosity and the search
yeah,
in those professions.
yeah, for sure. And I did do some searching in some of those,
Yeah.
in law, I realized right away I couldn't do that. I'm too sensitive of a person. I would never not take that home with me. And there's just no
Mm-hmm.
way I could do that. I landed on marketing because I felt it was still using my creativity, but in a business way. So um, that's why I chose that. But
Mm-hmm.
having hindsight, I wish, I would have continued with my art college career and, um, continued the path. I just was pretty defeated in school and art school in particular. And um, yeah, I just made a snap decision about changing my major and going to a different school and,
Yeah, I
getting
think
on board with
schools.
the business train. But, and I'm grateful and thankful it's gotten me here and given me the ability to do so many things that I would not have been able to do had my career not taken off the way that it did. So I'm very thankful for that. But yeah,
Isn't
I
isn't it interesting how we get to a point that where we understand where everything converges and how we can use everything we learned so far.
That's right. And now I'm using my speaking ability to talk to people and, just out of my own curiosity, going down all these roads and talking to people like you and saying, what else is out there that I don't know about, that has to do with art and
Mm-hmm.
creativity and, the healing part of, you know, what you do is just it makes sense to me and I don't understand why it hasn't been a thing up until now, or in the recent past anyway. And yeah, so that really excites me that those are coming together because I think, you know, your heart and where that art comes from and you're expressing yourself is the same place where your happiness lies and your, you know, um, feelings and emotions. So it makes sense to me that you would work through that through trying to find a way
Mm-hmm.
where there is no way in some cases,
No, it's
that.
very different. I think that's something that is working really well for me.
Mhm.
Is because I tweak a little bit,
Yeah,
my exercises for whatever that group is, because all groups have a
different.
personality,
Yeah,
in
no, I get
general.
it. Yep.
So some things I did with another group will not work with this group. And then in the first, maximum the second meeting, I start to really figure it out and go that way. And I had groups that because I do it every few months again through the Atlantic Center for the Arts. And last time, the following group, almost everyone was the same from the previous one because they
Oh
said, we want to do this again. We want to do this again.
my gosh. Yeah, so then
So
you have to switch
I,
it up so it's not the same. Yeah.
so I developed I call it a second season.
On the fly.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. That's great. Well, good for you for being able to do that. Do you have a favorite healing story today, like that you've seen or experienced, or a
I
class story that you want to share, or anything that you think is inspiring or funny or thoughtful that you want to share with us?
I I love them all. It's very hard to pick one. I just love when so what happens, I can tell one story that will even explain a little better how it works.
Yep.
I had this person in a group that was very reserved. So she was there, that meant she wanted to work with it, but it was very, very hard for her to talk to. She didn't want people to feel sorry for her.
Mm.
That was her difficulty. So she did one of the exercises that was, so you have a white piece of paper and you use colors and with no shape, and then you're doing things. I guide that with a kind of a meditation. It's a story that they, because everything has to have a meaning. If I just go there and say, okay, draw a house, it won't
Yeah.
mean anything.
Right.
So there has to have a meaning attached to it, an emotion attached to it, an intention. That's what makes it different. That's what makes the change. So I was guiding the group and she was doing it. And then in the end, I always ask them to explain to me what that is. So she looked at her. So the paper is this size, and all her colors were in like a little circle in the middle of the
Right.
big paper. And she was like, oh, and it always starts very natural. Oh, I was putting yellow and brown and this. And then they understand. So when they're trying to explain is when they understand what they did. And she said, I just realized how much I've been keeping everything inside of me
Mm.
and I'm not putting it out. It's hard and but I'm keeping everything in this little ball inside of me. And I feel the need to expand it and put it out to heal. So that was beautiful. That's exactly, you
Yeah, I
know,
can go to that. Yeah. That's
what yeah,
yeah.
that's exactly what she needed. And that happens again and again. It's that this
Did she
this
open up from there? Did she open up a little after
it
that?
changed. Yes, yes, yes,
Yeah.
it did. It was really nice.
That's
And
awesome.
that happens again and again. It's a hers was a very important one because the change was so big.
Right.
Because usually it goes little by little, and then in the end, they are very grateful. What inspires me really are the smiles, the hugs I get in the end. I'm a hugger. The hugs, people who when that hug is like, thank you
Really
so
good.
much, kind of
Yeah.
hug.
Yeah.
And even the tears, we have a lot of tears, and that's something that people learn to get more used to. In the beginning, they're all embarrassed. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm crying. If they know crying is part of it, that means it's
Coming
working.
out.
It's
Yeah.
moving. So do we all become
That's
very
awesome
comfortable with
because
the tears?
that was my next question is what inspires you? You already answered it.
Oh my God, those faces when they leave and they saying, "I'll be here next week. I'll be here next week." That
Yeah.
inspires me. And
Yeah.
some people ask me, "Isn't it hard to work with grief?" And it is hard. Of course, it's a difficult moment. And I hear very sad stories, and it's hard for a lot of them to tell the stories. But the, the smiles in the end, and even, the tears of finally putting it out, they inspire me a lot. I learned so much.
Yeah.
I technically I'm there to teach them something, but I learned so much with everybody who's there.
It's
And
true.
my people person side gets so happy, and it's just a big joy to be able to do something. And I love the way of doing it through a nonprofit because I can reach people who wouldn't be able to pay for it.
Mm.
And I think that is beautiful. That I absolutely love that format.
Yeah, no, it's changing their lives. That's amazing. So, where would you like to see? This is my last question. Where would you like to see happiness and creativity in the future? Either one of those things. just in general. It's something I ask every guest: is where would you like to see some of this go in the future?
I would love to see it everywhere, but I have two passions. I have a big passion for helping women, and I have a big passion for helping young people.
Mm,
So to me, I would love to be more and more like in the schools. I think the way schools work, like more and more we see that they're opening to it.
yeah,
But schools get too much in the academic side, which is important. But I think we need emotional support too.
yeah,
We need to teach, especially teenagers around, middle school, high school. We need to teach them how to deal with their emotions
yeah,
because they go together and they're going to be there.
yeah.
It's going
Isn't
to
it
change their whole
fascinating?
life.
We don't teach them any of that. It's fascinating to me. We get them ready for the logistics of life, but not the emotional side. And everybody has different level of teaching from their family, friends, society, schools, whatever. So I think it would be an awesome thing if we had some kind of curriculum where we,
Yes.
from kindergarten to collegiate, why don't we have this in our system? And I know it has to do with money. I'm not naive, but
Hmm.
I think the results, which I'm sure you're tracking, is is probably speak for itself. If you can change somebody's mindset to be a happier person, they're going to be um, a greater for their community, their family. They're going to show others as well.
Being able to manage the emotions and to know the path to search for your own happiness is disease prevention. They're going to be happier adults. They're going to influence everybody else around them. They're going to raise happier kids. So it's the big, big change that can help the way, we have all these chronic diseases and stress and so much that overloads our health system.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
that would be wonderful. That would be
Yeah,
really, really a great achievement.
I agree. Well, thank you so much for taking the time today to speak with me. I really enjoyed our conversation. For everyone watching, we're going to have the information in the comments to get a hold of Monica if you need to. She has a website, happinesshealthconnection.com, where you can join in like-minded community. She has tools and exercises, etc. So feel free to go there, and we'll provide some contact information as well. But thank you so much for speaking with me today. I appreciate you.
Thank you. It was wonderful to talk to you.
You too.
If you haven't already, please like and subscribe. Feel free to nominate yourself or someone you know as our next guest. Thank you for being a part of our creative community. Stay inspired and keep shining bright.